Good evening, everyone. I hope you can see and hear me okay. I'm not using my normal setup today. I unfortunately didn't bring all of the kit, so rather than streaming through one of my mirrorless cameras, I'm just using the built-in webcam, so I hope it looks okay. I've done my best to try and light the scene and keep it as minimalist as I can so it's not too distracting for you all. Now, I have to forewarn you and also thank you. You're currently part of my attempts to overcome jet lag. I had 2 days to catch up with friends and try and deal with the jet lag. Tomorrow, I meet up with Steph and start shooting. Um, it's going pretty well, but I'm still a little hazy, so unusual for me. I've actually made some notes that I just want to run through a little bit of housekeeping in case this derails as I get into the fog of jet lag as we go on through the stream. So, first of all, I am here in New York for the Build Expo with B&H Photo. So if anyone is in or around New York City this week, I would love to meet up with as many of you as possible. It's been so long since I've had any kind of meetups, and I'm really looking forward to it. So on Tuesday night, Steph and I are doing a photo walk, 5 to 7, starting at Washington Square Park, and everyone's welcome. More of a meetup than anything formal at all. So that should be really fun. And then Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be at the Build Expo attending and hanging out. So if you're there and you spot me, please come and say hi. It'd be nice to meet you all. It is the Labor Day long weekend here in the States, and I've got in the description and in the chat there, I've got a bunch of sales up, basically 50% off everything at artnudeportraiture.com and 50% off almost everything at learn.mattgranger.com with the code, what is it, Labor50, I think. And then you can get 20% off my setup guides for Fuji GFX, Nikon, and Hasselblad, 20% off each of them with the code Labor Day. So hopefully that all makes sense. So today's competition, we're looking at bird photos. So thank you to everyone who submitted shots throughout the month of August. I'm going to go through and look at every shot that we had submitted. I downloaded them this morning, so even if you're a day late, you still got in. And for the prize, I wasn't sure if I was going to announce it or not, but I think I will. I'm putting the finishing touches on a new downloadable course, which is a guide to Iceland, which covers bird photography. So that's going to go live before too long. So the winner of this week's show will get a free copy of that once it goes live. The September competition is now live, and the theme is waterfalls. So you can tell that's also to do with Iceland. You can enter your shot at mattgranger.com/live. Hi to Pasakuma. I would love to hear who's in the chat. Where are you chiming in from? What have you been shooting lately? Please let me know. And if there's any issues with seeing or hearing me, please let me know as well, because I'm just running off my earbuds at the moment. So I'm just going to jump right into looking at the images because I may just fall asleep if I don't. So let's bring this up and transition over. Now the theme is birds, so from what I saw, everyone who submitted a shot, it is a photo of a bird, so that qualifies. And then I'll give you some feedback on whether it's technical stuff or composition or whatever it may be. I won't go through and re-edit your shots, but I might give you some tips on what I think would work better. But of course, this is just one guy's opinion. Don't take it to heart. So, I've got the details up there. I actually brought that up on Andrew Wilkshot just because I wanted to see the shutter speed, because as I was looking at this one, I quite like it. I don't know if it's a crow or a raven, and then it's got a little ladybug on there. I couldn't tell. It looks quite soft. I couldn't tell if it had misfocused, but I couldn't really see where on the concrete here was in focus, and I think it's actually just slightly too slow of a shutter speed. This one was taken at 1/100th of a second at 200 mil, so It's going to come down to your technique, and some shots show up really sharp at a hundredth of a second, and others you need to be up much higher. But generally, for birds, whether they're flying or static, 100 is slow. So I think this one is not that crisp because of that. And I think this could be, you could draw a lot more out of this if you kind of basically did some editing on it. I think just doing a bit of work with the green channel, you could make the bird pop a little bit more and still have it be really natural looking, but with a bit of pop. So I'm going to turn this off and just look at the images without seeing names. And just so you know, I'm working off one laptop today, so I can't see comments and everything at the same time. So if you have questions, comments, whatever, please send it in, and every now and then I'll switch back to that screen so I can check them out. Now, this one, a couple of puffins. This could very well be in Iceland. I think we have a few different puffin shots in today. This is really cute. Puffins are so incredibly adorable. If you've not seen them, I hope you get the opportunity to. It's really hard to believe that they're an actual species. They're so cute. So this is super sharp, bursting with color. Doesn't to me look over edited. The only thing is, it looks like there's a little bit of haloing around the beak. So I'm guessing maybe you did something, a mask on the birds in particular to kind of try and pop them out more. It's minor, but without zooming in, I can see there is a haloing around the beak. So just be careful of that. It looks great, looks sharp, but don't go to the point where we can see those halos. But really nice, and I'm actually going to give that a pick. But I have to say, this is not about who has the most spectacular or the cutest bird. It's which is the best photos been submitted. So to be clear on that same, a portrait competition doesn't go to the person who has the most beautiful or most famous subject. It's what's the most interesting portrait. So this one of some kind of owl is spectacular. I don't know if this is a showbird that actually has something on its ankle that we can't see or not. I think the eyes have been punched up a bit in saturation, but I don't think they've been pushed too far. I do think, though, with just a little bit more contrast through the midtones, you could really make this one pop. But I like the crop on it. I like the framing. I think you could even come in a little more from the top left to really bring it, or yeah, probably top left to bring it in a little bit tighter. But I think this is a great shot as well. So another pick. So this is a pelican, and let's just see. Interesting. It's like a blue bill rather than the usual orange one. Printed, this kind of a crop may work fine. My personal take, and this is, I'm not going to discount photos for this, but birds have so much beautiful detail in their feathers that often a close-up works the best unless the scene really adds to it. So here, yes, it's a pelican, they're a seabird, so it gives us context at least, but it's not like a spectacular scene. The wave does frame it quite nicely, however. Same as this one, it's great contrast with the greens in the foreground and the background. The fountain is a little bit distracting, but I think you could come in quite a lot more to really put the emphasis on the bird without overdoing it or without losing the feeling of the space that you've given it. So I'm not going to go beyond a little crop. I'm not going to go to town, but like there we could get rid of that's too much, but we could do something to get rid of the fountain there and come in a whole lot closer if the file had integrity to stand up to that kind of cropping. I think that kind of a frame, or maybe a bit wider than that, but not quite this wide, would probably work a little better. Now, this looks like a red cardinal, and this is the difficulty. If you're doing travel photos and you have 10 shots, of Paris or a bird contest and you have 10 shots of puffins, it's inevitable that, if you submit one of them, that you're going to, it's going to be compared to it. So I think there is another cardinal shot in this. Nice contrast, direct sunlight is kind of working. The bokeh is a little distracting overall. I don't know that the bird's in the most uh, dominant position in the frame. It's like just slightly off-centered rather than in an area that kind of adds extra visual interest to it. But nice and crisp and good color contrast. Let's look at one more and then I'll check if we've got comments to review. Um, so a lot of animal competitions will exclude animals in captivity. I don't. But I do think if you're able to not show the netting and everything in the background, it just makes for a nicer looking image. Um, Otherwise, it's fine. Well exposed. The having the bird mid step is nice. You've got a good profile on it. It's just not a particularly artistic kind of shot. It's more of a, what, if you can use this term, a documentary kind of shot. Let's jump out, and if you guys have any comments you want to share on the images as well, please do that. Let me just jump out now and check what chat that's going on. Hi, Lenny, Eric, Nick, Flyfish Photo, and William. Thanks for tuning in, all. If you have any feedback or suggestions or whatnot, please let me know. Flyfish Photo asks, how will judging change with AI enhanced images? I was just thinking that before coming on. Do I need to put in some kind of rule about that? Because I don't want to have someone who just completely AI generates an image, enter it, and then win over people who took their photos. Because I don't have a big problem with AI, really, in the same way that I don't have a problem with Photoshop. But I do think they're different skill sets, and there's digital images and then there's digital photographs, and I do think there's a difference. So, what do you guys think? How do I draw the line? And it's a little, at some point you have to, it's an honesty system, right? It's hard to tell, to be honest. Um, in case anyone has just jumped in, reminder, the last comment that I had there, I'll just add it to the chat again. You can see details on my photo walk with Steph and the Build Expo. Both are completely free, no catches. It's just a chance to come and geek out and meet other photography lovers in New York City. I'd really love to see all you guys. Let's jump back in. So far, I'm not falling asleep. I hope what the noises that are coming out of my mouth are comprehensible. Okay, so another puffin. I think this one has great potential, but I do think the edit has kind of let it down a little bit. You don't have to do too much. You can just push up your highlights on the bird, maybe mask it. I said I wasn't going to edit photos, but I just want to show you how easy it is to do this kind of thing. Let's see how it does the auto subject mask. I mean, look how incredible that is. Turning the mask off, if we pushed our highlights and our whites a little bit, bring up our saturation quite a bit, and now if we have a new one, which is, let's say, select the sky. So again, it's nailed it. Here, if we went down to our HSL, bringing up the saturation in the blues, bringing down the luminance a little bit. I'm doing this super quick and bringing up the luminance in the greens. Really quickly, like what's that, 30 seconds. You could spend 5 minutes on it and get it a lot more polished than that. But so, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. I've kind of forgotten what's the button here to show. Yeah, so that was before and that's after. So a really, really minor adjustment, but it does give it that extra pop. Now this almost looks like the bird is posing for this shot, right? With I think this is another cardinal, maybe. Birders, let me know. Um, Quite a beautiful shot. The snow falling. The bird is in a more dominant position in the frame. I think still there's headroom that isn't doing much, and probably keeping more of the berries below would be even better. But then the one in its mouth, it's perfectly crisp and in focus. Um, that's a pretty great shot. I'll give that a pick. Now, this one looks to me like it had a messy background and it's been darkened down. This is the kind of shot, no offense to this person, you can actually take it as a compliment, but it's the kind of shot that I see entered in like photo club competitions a lot, where animals are just completely isolated from their background to get rid of it. Um, if we just have a little cheeky look, let's see if it's still hiding there. Not really. I think it's been darkened down a whole lot. Um, yeah, so looking at it, that's how it came in. I think I don't know. I think it looks a little unusual to me to be against a completely black background. Um, and this wasn't like taken at night. This is 1/1500th of a second at ISO 1600. Um, I think it's about at least a stop underexposed as well on the bird itself. This is a very beautiful shot. It's mainly to do with the color contrast and how incredibly sharp the bird is. Um, I really like it. I think just be a little bit more careful if you're doing what I did before about, masking the bird in the background to make sure you get all of the areas in between the branches and stuff. It kind of looks like some of these areas in here had been missed. Could be wrong. It's a low res file after all. Um, I personally think the central composition is a miss. I don't think that works. It's a beautiful bird. It's technically a good shot, but I don't think it's composed that well. And actually, what I said about the masking is really true. If you look at around the feathers down here, that's a bit poorly done. We can clearly see the highlights where the bird, that area wasn't masked accurately and has been brightened up against the background. Still, there's a lot right going on there, so pick on that one as well. Same on this bird. Looks like it's got kind of a halo on it. I get it. It is difficult getting the bird in great light and having it pop out and getting it sharp and all of those things. That's why people spend years trying to get really great shots. Um, Generally, having the back of the head or the back of any animal rather than the profile or the front is not as desirable. There's something kind of wispy and romantic about swans and this monochrome as well, that having the glancing side look of the head, I think, does kind of work. Um, I'm just not sure. The back is okay, but the bottom being caught on the edge of frame, it looks a little bit sloppy to me, just accidental framing. Uh, this one likewise, the looks like a kookaburra, Australian kookaburra. The if you were shooting like a peacock, then shooting the back of it rather than the front makes sense because that's the most beautiful part. But the face of the kookaburra and its beak are beautiful. Um, so I don't know that this is the best vantage point you could have on it, especially when the most famous thing about a kookaburra is its laugh, and so having it, its face and its mouth open would be I guess, the killer shot. But it's kind of redeemed by having this eye looking back, kind of looking a little bit indifferent. I'm not going on there though. This area right in front of the eye looks like it's got a melanoma or something going on there. It's really stands out from the rest of the image around there. I'm not sure what's going on there. Um, Quite a beautiful bird. I'm just not sure about the vantage point. Um, so being bird photobombed, having one bird photobomb another bird. Um, I mean, it's funny. I don't know that it's a great bird photo. There are really funny ones where you get something like this, and then one of the birds has a funny look on its face or something. Um, it could actually be a fun theme for a future competition. Photobombing photo shots. Hmm. What do you guys think of the images so far? Do you have a favorite? Let me just jump out and see how we're going in the chat. So that was not a cardinal, but a cedar waxwing. Thank you. Nick saying, didn't realize you're a watch guy too. When you're out in the field, wildlife and nature, or hiking, what's on your wrist? I'm a bit of a watch snob, but in the field, a green Casio oak for me. I have I've forgotten what color now, probably jet lag, but I have a Casio oak that I wear on some trips. Um, if I'm around Hong Kong and just like shooting in the park, I just wear whatever I was wearing. You can see my latest video that I put live yesterday on the 180 to 600. I got some comments about the Batgirl that I was wearing. I do have an Apple Watch that I mainly use for the gym, but sometimes when you're out hiking, that can be handy. And on this trip, because I don't want to get robbed in New York, I have this Seiko. It's a Kuroshio Panda that's a limited edition based on a Japanese Shinkansen train. So there you go. Freeman Burgess commenting on the owl shot. Thank you for your feedback. Ranger Ron likes the cedar waxwing the best so far. Great. Thank you all. And William, nice. Thank you for joining us from Vancouver. Nick from Maryland, Eric from Washington, D.C. That's just down the way. Come on up and join us for the photo walk on Tuesday. And Lenny from Cayman Islands. Beautiful. Thanks for joining us. All right. I don't know how many shots we have remaining, but I feel like I'm making good progress. So let's go in because there's really a chance once I end this stream that I'm just going to fall asleep instantly. Okay. I've got shots like this myself. So you often get birds in this pose in good light because they're doing that to dry their wings. Um, the bird itself to me is quite interesting. The cropping of the feet doesn't really work for me, and the messy background doesn't either. But something you can get because they tend to do this pose with the sun behind them so that they're getting direct sunlight, you can often get a really nice shadow of their reflected shape just in front of them. If they're on on mud or something, it's a bit hard to see maybe on grass, but that can be a cool shot to have them reflected, kind of a mirror of their shape like that. Looks like cockatoos. Maybe a film shot, I'm not sure. It's interesting, and I think the one in the bottom right definitely kind of sets the image off. I think not your typical shot, not detailed like in individual feathers or anything, not colorful, obviously, but one of the more interesting compositions, certainly in so far. Nice one. I'll give that a pick too. Ooh, another one. I'd really love to go somewhere, especially to photograph owls. They're such beautiful birds. Um, Nice composition. Background isn't distracting. Nothing overlapping that shouldn't be. Um, yeah, nice. I think you could maybe, well, I don't know, you if it's a bird that's meant to be gray, then I'm not suggesting that you make it look unnatural. But I do think it could do with a little bit more contrast on the bird. But this looks like a minimally edited and just beautiful natural shot. So nice one. Yet another pick. This looks like an emu. And one, two, three, four, five, six, maybe seven babies. That's cute. Um, Guessing this was quite a ways away. I mean, it's difficult, but it looks like you've pretty much nailed focus on the mum. I'm curious, what's the focal length on this one? 200 mil. Okay. So it must have been nice and bright. 1/640th ISO 100 f4. Um, and you have a resolution to spare, at least on my competition. So you could potentially bring it in so then you got the birds along kind of one of the bottom third. Bringing it in that little bit further, I think, helps. This is a difficult one when you're in shade and you're picking up so much color from the surrounding area. Everything's kind of got that muddy green blue tone to it. Um, Also, maybe it's at a bit slow of a shutter speed, but it could be just that the focus is on the tail feathers, not on the head of the bird. But it's kind of uh, difficult lighting when you don't have good light on the bird to get the any kind of detail in the feathers. I like its position in the frame, however, that's a plus, and the kind of the posing of the bird is also nice, but really difficult light and slightly misfocus on that one. This bird looked like it's just stolen something off someone's dinner plate and is running away, making like laughing or squawking. Um, yeah, for whatever reason, I find it to be kind of a funny shot. Um, the background's a little bit messy, but it's a nice gull. What do you guys think of this one? Nice kind of repeated shape with the reflection. Um, Kind of makes the bird a little bit lost, but not so much, seeing the area that it's standing is the most open part of the scene. It's just kind of framed in so many levels. I think it works though. That's an interesting shot. I don't know that it's quite up with some of my favorites, but I'm going to give that a pick as well. Yet another puffin. Now, I've shot puffins a lot in my travels to Iceland. This really is a realistic representation of the colors of their head. So you've already pushed the highlights a lot, and that's kind of the neck, the the chest is generally wider than their head. Um, so I don't think you'd want to push this anymore. It's a nice little peekaboo. Shame no kind of catchlight in the eye, but still, that's fine. Um, Nice shot. Um, Third of our puffin entries today. And that's it. Goodness, this is only going to be a half an hour live show. Amazing. So, let me now take a look at my picks. Flagged. So these are the ones that I chose out, folks. We have the two puffins, the horned owl, the wax, whatever it was. Sorry, again, apologies, a little bit jet lagged. Um, this little guy got a lot going for it, but I think, yeah, shame about the masking on the edit. This interesting composition, this just beautiful natural shot, and then our well-framed duck. What do you guys think? Now, I'm not going to switch back and see your comments. For me, I think I'm going to go with two winners on this one. I'm going to give it to Gilbert Suave with this guy that I think was a crowd favorite, and also this one from Brad Lashua with the pair of puffins. I think they're both two worthy winners. So congratulations both. I'll be in touch maybe not straight after the show, but this week to get your details and confirm how the prize is going to work. Now, where am I? Let me just switch back to this view. Okay, thank you all for the comments. Um, yes, thank you for joining me. Apologies if I haven't made a whole lot of sense. Um, I'm really looking forward to the rest of this trip, starting off shooting with Steph tomorrow, Monday, which is actually Labor Day, and then also Tuesday, photo walk Tuesday evening, Build Expo Wednesday, Thursday, and then some other shooting Friday as well. So it should be a nice balanced trip. Um, Check out the Labor Day sales. Details are in the description. That's only up for, I think it's until Monday or Tuesday. No, it must be till Tuesday because Labor Day's Monday. Um, and get your waterfall theme photos in for September. Um, Ben Burgess, I just saw your comment. I have a pic. How do I get it in? I'm sorry, mate. The competition is open for entries through the month. It ends, like this month will be ending on the 30th of September. And then I download them and then review them afterwards. So you can't submit an image once the show is already live. They were all submitted over the previous month. So if you've got a waterfall shot, please enter that one for our September comp. I hope those of you in the States have a great day off tomorrow and have time with family, maybe get a chance to go out and shoot. Those of you in the rest of the world, hope you just have a regular old great weekend and Monday. And for those of you who are going to make it to New York City, then I really look forward to meeting you all. So please come say hi and let's hang out. Thanks. Time for a shower and to hopefully pass out for a good 8 or 10 hours before my shooting tomorrow. Cheers, guys. I'll talk to you soon.